Hello, welcome to the Ideation2Innovation podcast. I am Sia Wilson, your host, and this is our very first episode, the very first of many. Today, I have with me, I was in the pre-recording phase. I was saying to Julie that I've known her for such a long time. And while much has changed in terms of her business and professional pursuits, she's still very graceful and beautiful, and I'm so happy to have her on with me for the first podcast. It's a little bit about Julie and why this story is a story from ideation to innovation. Is after 12 years as an HR professional, in 2022, Julie had a wonderful idea to produce sugar-free beverages, actually sweetened with monk fruit, and we're going to hear much more about that, the ingredients and the health benefits. But it's a healthy move for Jamaicans, and we're just going to talk about who Julie is first of all, and what brought the ideation to the innovation phase. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure.
Okay, so just tell me about who Julie is. Not business Julie, not any other, just who Julie is.
Julie is a down-to-earth person. Julie is a people person. Julie loves anybody. Mm-hmm. The little man, the middle man, the top man. I've just been somebody who just loved people, and people are my passion. So I always want to impact. I always want to encourage, and just be a vessel. I'm a woman of God, but just be a hand extended of Jesus Christ to love to the world. So that's who I am pretty much.
Well, and many people may pick up on the last name, but those of us who attended Church on the Rock, I was a member of Church on the Rock for a number of years. You have, so just talk a little bit about your formative years and how that has shaped who you are today.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had parents who were ministers of the gospel and grew up in the church, literally. I mean, I was born and placed at the foot of a drum set, because before my dad became a pastor, he was a full-time musician, both my mom and my dad. So we grew up as musicians. I sang from a very early age, so I do sing. In the later years, I became a worship leader, doing a lot of music, traveling abroad and here in the United States in particular. Taught choirs in the UK, in Scotland actually. And that's my background pretty much, in the church, but even more personal, just having a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. I met the Lord at 6, saw the example of my dad, and I came to him one evening and I said, I want to know God. I want to meet him as my personal savior at 6 years old. So both himself and mom led me to the Lord at the tender age of 6, and I've never looked back.
So I know you just mentioned that your parents started out as musicians, and I'm sure right when I joined Church on the Rock, there was a new construction of the building and quite an evolution of the church.
Correct.
And is there any inspiration from how your parents were able to take ideas and make them a reality that has formed a part of who you are?
The faith of my father.
Mm-hmm.
He saw things that didn't exist, believed in it because God told him it was going to be. He didn't listen to the naysayers and the voices around. He stepped into what he believed the Lord was calling him to do. Even being a pastor, everything was a faith move, faith being the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So his faith pretty much inspired me, even with this drink and just the trajectory of my life, all the things that I've gone through. I've had to lean on the faith that I have to navigate the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows of my life. So faith was definitely the foundation for everything. That's what I saw in my parents,
Right.
and I adapted that.
Okay. What would you say about your journey so far? If you would look at a few events about how faith has stepped in when you really least expected it.
Well, believe it or not, I've had moments in my life where I was jobless. I had no form of employment, and I had to lean on faith to take me day to day. And I would see the miracles of Jesus Christ being demonstrated in my life. I mean, people looking at me would never know that my experiences had these moments where there were times when I didn't know when I'm going to get the next meal. You know, I'm a single parent. I had a daughter. You know, trying to navigate those lean seasons where there was just no money at all. And I had to squarely rely on faith, believing God and thanking Him for that which I did not have to sustain us. And the miracles, I lived in a home for 1 whole year without paying rent. Because of my faith and my character, my landlord looked at me and said, listen, I would never put you out. I know who you are, and I will allow you to live in our home until something happens for you. And that's exactly what he did. So the faith of the faith in Jesus Christ has really, really sustained me and blown my mind, because the faith caused the exceedingly abundantly above all I could ever ask or think to be manifested in my life. Yes.
Absolutely. A testimony at every stage of life.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So for myself, I always knew that entrepreneurship was in my lifelong dream. In high school, I used to always find something to sell. I always had some kind of service or product that I was always selling. And I like the freedom of entrepreneurship. I like how it can make you make anything, have your own personal touch and your own personal ideas. And I wanted to just ask you, is there any creativity that you saw in yourself as you came up through your adolescent years that made you know that entrepreneurship would be on the cards for you?
Not in my younger years, but as I transitioned into my a young adulthood, I realized that entrepreneurship was something that I had, and I just had a desire to do, and I saw areas of my life that could really make this a success. You know, just the person of who I am, how I conducted, you know, my management of finance, and you know, just certain little qualities that I saw within. I knew, and then after that, no, I felt like God had deposited this spirit of entrepreneurship on me. So I always had a desire to move into this and to become my own boss. Not just because I needed to be a boss, but also to impact the people that would be, that I would be serving as a leader, you know, so.
Okay. All right. So I am going to move a little bit into your professional pursuits as a HR professional. I know you did speak about your love for people, and I know that HR is just that, dealing with people, dealing with their concerns, ensuring that they are trained and well up to speed in terms of the demands of the market. I just wanted to delve a little bit into you and HR and how it really incorporated the core of who you are.
So people being my passion and the Lord knowing this, and I think it's a part of my assignment in the earth to really impact people's lives. And I really had a special love for the poor. And like God would have it, an opportunity was open to me opened for me, where a corporate entity had asked me to come in and to take over the non-skilled and the partially skilled production workers. And I formed my own business and went right into it. And we grew to close to 100 members of staff collectively over 12 years, managing the lives of all of these persons. So here it is, my passion now became my assignment. And
passion meets assignment.
Yes, passion, right. Mm-hmm. And there's just not a better combination to know that you are living in your passion, making the impacts of the people around you, helping those who have no voice to have a voice, and to help them to get from point A in their life to point B, help them to complete certain little home projects. Just help them just to realize that they are somebody, and that the only thing that separates us is just the circumstances under which we were born. Outside of that, we are all equal, and they can just like I can. And that was successful for the period of time that I was with them. And the experiences are priceless. The legacy is priceless. They still call me their boss. At times I get the calls, and nothing was more fulfilling to me, because I really wanted to do that.
And the passion in your voice, it was almost cracking with passion, because I can see that your heart was really in it.
I mean, sometimes I cry just thinking about them. I can get emotional right now, just,
thinking about them. What are some of the lessons that they over the 12 years that they taught you? These are unskilled workers who you helped to inspire to continue to have the ambition to work and grow.
That some of the lessons, I had to go beyond the paycheck into their homes. I saw and I heard the testimonies and walked a lot of them through the hardships. And, a lot of things that we take for granted. These people are going through stuff that you never understood or never could comprehend, because you've never been there, you've never been able to witness. So the everyday connection that I had with them brought me into their spaces, and it was a grand eye opener and a place for me to pour back into their lives. They call me mommy. A lot of them didn't have mothers who poured into them. I've had a man cry once saying, I've never had somebody speak to me and speak into my life and to tell me what a true man is supposed to be like. God gave me so much opportunity to pour into these people's lives, to teach them how to invest, to save and invest money financially, and to let them know that, listen, you can be investors as well. There is nothing that says that you can't. All you need to do is save. All of us need to save in order to invest. You can't invest if you don't have what you don't have, right? So these were some of the areas.
So what about the social and that kind of building of the familiar, the family structure that, so many people of certain socioeconomic, because you mentioned that they call your mom, which means that they're desirous of understanding how family works. Some of them may not have been a part of anything nuclear. Was that something that you tried to impart, you coming from a nuclear family?
Absolutely. And just lived by example. And some of them were able to learn from the examples and just talks, especially the women, were able to impart certain virtues, some will listen, some wouldn't, but no love lost on either way, eventually they got it, so yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that's phenomenal work. And I'm sure that when you got a chance to pivot, you had a lot of these lessons in your mind at that time. And we did talk about your church leadership earlier on. And does that have a bearing, your ability to lead? You led choirs, you led people.
Yes.
to Jesus.
Yes.
Do
Yes.
you think that that helped in honing your leadership skills?
Absolutely. With the example of my parents, being leaders and head of the church, founders of a church, and not just one church, but churches, that definitely was an immediate example to see what leadership, spiritual leadership looked like. And definitely allowed me to come into my own idea and reality of leadership. I always knew that there was leadership in me. And so it didn't come as a surprise, because from early on, there were
those examples.
the examples.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
Not a leader. I wanted to be. I looked back on at high school, the magazines. And in there, when they say ambition, I wanted to be a gospel singer, a professional gospel singer. Like, come out with my own, be on some, signed to somebody or something. Yeah, that was then.
Then what changed when it moved to?
Things just, life happened, and I realized that the Lord was drawing me into worship leading instead of being a artist out there. So I worship led for quite a few years.
Powerful praise and worship. I'm telling you, I was a part of them. It was powerful praise and worship.
Yes. And it's still, it's not, it's something, I've been having some issues with my vocal cords, like real issues. So I've not been singing a lot, but the anointing and the calling is still there. And I'm still believing in faith that God will heal up this so that I can continue to carry out the spiritual assignment on my life to worship lead and to speak, so yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned that you're a single mom. I am too, so I know that it is it's an assignment that is different. It's a different assignment, and until you do it, you won't understand the partnership with God and others. I don't know if you're like me, but the kind of leadership, you have to lead on all things, even if you have support. Is that something that inspired you at all in your leadership journey and your business journey?
Being a leader mother?
Yes.
Absolutely. I had to do it all by myself. With Jesus, of course. But I was a single mother in its true sense of the word, and I had to depend on the Holy Spirit to provide, to lead, to direct, to give me the wisdom to grow her up. And there is something that I did through the years of my being her mother. I'm still her mother, but she's a grown adult now, but still my baby. No, she's gonna chuckle when she hears that, because she thinks she's a big woman. But you see, when as a mother, we all know that it doesn't matter how old they get, they're still our babies. And one day she will understand when she becomes a mother herself. But I would declare the spirit of excellence upon her every day. Every morning I would declare this it's spiritual, moral, academic excellence upon her, and the words of faith again became manifest and a reality. And I watched my daughter, though not perfect, she grew into, she had an excellent spirit. And I've seen how the Lord has just used her, and she just evolved into this beautiful woman of God that she is. And I know that the foundation was in the prayers of her mother. I've just seen God doing some things in her life, and I owe it all to him, because had I not had the strength of God and the grace of God to take me through this, it would be a different story. It would. But, prayer changes things. The Bible says the effective, fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. And I saw where the prayers, from before she was born, I used to lay my hands on my stomach and anoint it with oil, and I would declare certain things over the fetus. So I don't know if you would want to call that leading, but yes, I tried to be a leader mother, to lead her onto the right paths and to set a template of what life should be in God.
Do you think as a single mother there were some career limits?
Absolutely. Because of the type of person I am, I invest a lot. I had invested a lot in her. And I never saw myself being in corporate or being, I always saw myself being in almost full-time ministry. So I was kind of, in the middle kind of thing. So it wasn't like a driving thing for me to be in good. That was not ever my desire or, even though I had an entrepreneurial spirit, it wasn't something that I like today, me being in Julie's Blend, and I didn't know that this was going to be it at all, And this is not the end all and the be all. This is just, one facet of my life, because I do believe I'm multidimensional. I'm not just, So, yeah.
Okay. And following on that, is there any single event that set the record for the rest of your journey? Something that made you say, I'm going to do this?
As it pertains to Julie's Blend?
No, just in your career path, when you move from HR, moving into business, is there any event that there's something that could have derailed you and you made up your mind and said, God, I'm going to do this?
Well, during the pandemic, there was a situation, where my business was concerned with Pristine Management Services Limited, the HR business. I had to end the relationship I had with my client, and it was not a very easy transition. And, as I went through the months and through the years, when God gave me this vision of Julie's Blend, I made a conscious effort and I said, you know what? As you said, I'm going to do this.
Have you ever doubted anything on the path?
Oh, yeah. I've had times, even recently, where I've cried and I said, Lord, what did I get myself into? Why did I go down this road? But I had to remember my why. I had to remember the vision that God gave me, where Julie's Blend is concerned, that He started it. And that which He starts, He is so faithful to keep you and sustain and complete, because there is a mission, at hand where Julie's Blend is concerned. It's not just about providing a beverage that's sugarless,
And you would consider your move from a client-based business to being a full-time entrepreneur as your pivot. Tell me about the pivot.
That's my pivot for sure. If there was ever a definition of pivot, this was. To go from staffing to a beverage, they're like night and day, and the business model is totally different, Being in business for 12 years, doing staffing and human resources, it's two totally different ball games. And I saw that upon the unfolding of Julie's Blend. I saw, wow, as much as I knew and I have the foundation of running good business, there was a lot to learn.
What are the tenets of being a good business person?
What are they?
Tenets. So what are the characteristics to you?
You've got to have integrity. You have to have good business ethics. I'm a stickler for good business ethics. I believe in crossing my T's and dotting my I's, where business compliance and obligations, especially when it comes on to governmental obligations, taxations and stuff. I have to be able to run my business in a way that it is efficient, it's professional. So I try to bring all of this out in even my day-to-day operations, even though it's very small now. As I said, it's a pivot. So we're still learning. There are certain systems and stuff that are not in place as yet.
Right.
But definitely applying these gems and these.
And you're a soul owner, soul trader.
Soul owner, soul.
Okay.
Doing everything by myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've come to the end of the first segment. We've learned a lot about Julie's formative years, who she is, the very basis of how she has become an entrepreneur. Learned a lot in a short space of time about who she is, but I'm sure lessons in how to be a good business person were garnered from this first segment. We're gonna move to segment 2. We're gonna learn about Julie's blend, how it came from just an idea, just a small conversation with a friend, how God prophesied over the business before, so how it became even an idea, a most interesting journey that I am so happy that we can document and share with you. See you in segment 2. All right, welcome to segment 2. We're going to go way knee deep into Julie's blend in this segment. We heard a lot about the lead up to this grand launch of Julie's blend, and it's an interesting story. And I know that it was inspired by some prophetic word, and I want Julie to just share what happened a year before she started, or a few years before she started the business, and the lead up there too.
So in 2019, the Lord led me to a particular conference, which I normally don't go to. And I heard His Spirit say to me, you need to go to Montego Bay. You need to go. So I obeyed His voice and I went. And the Sunday morning, the guest speaker from overseas was there, and he stopped the service, came over to me. Now remember, this is before the pandemic, okay? In the November, and he said to me, the Lord is going to interrupt your life significantly to take you to the next level. And that out of this interruption and this next level, there was going to be creativity and innovations that were just going to just skyrocket. You know, that was how he, like a firebrand, he said. And I was like, wow,
a firebrand.
That was the word.
Those were the exact
words. And, you know, I think the Lord needed to give me that word to prepare me for the disruption that was about to come literally the next year. When the pandemic came, I said to God, is this a disruption? Are you talking about the interruption? And He said, no, there's a special one for you. And then things unfolded, and the upheavals and whatever took place, the Lord said, this is me. This is not about you. I am interrupting your life at this time to take you to the next level. Do not be afraid. My life was in the hands of God.
When it was occurring, did you remember the words?
I did. It was a buffer for it was a buffer for me, because my reaction to the upheavals could have been far worse. But the Lord kept me. His word kept me. So I knew this was Him. And He supernaturally just transitioned me out of the staffing and human resources aspect of my business, and put me on a path to rest for a while, because I needed to rest.
You needed rest.
And Okay, so through the years, I would make an eggnog. It was inspired by my dad, meaning the concept of eggnog, because growing up, he used to do this eggnog at Christmas, and it was nice, and he had his own recipe, and it was great. I decided to do my own version of an eggnog after he got sick, because my dad was sick, and after he died, I decided to do this for the family. And then I did it for the family, and then the place that I was working at, they learned of my eggnog, and then I would have to bring the eggnog every Christmas, a whole gallon of it each time, and everybody just can't wait for the eggnog that Julie makes, because it was just so delicious. And then I went somewhere else after that, and some persons tasted my eggnog, and they said, but no, man, you have to monetize this. You've got to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
So I started doing the eggnog. It got into certain mouths that's just judges, food judges, and they just thought that this was just the most fantastic tasting eggnog ever. I met with a significant person once, and he looked at me and he said, you need to come out with a year-long drink. And the person said to me, when I look at you, I see greatness, right?
Powerful, speaking powerful
Yeah,
things over
and he
you.
says, your hands, when I look at your hands, there is so much success in your hands. Anything that you put your hands to, it will be successful. And this was not a spiritual leader. This was just somebody out there that saw something in me, and it impacted
so twice in a short period of time, someone who didn't know you before spoke over your life that a prophetic word that would end up being what we have displayed here on the table today. Isn't that powerful?
It is powerful. It is powerful, for sure.
So after you decided now to monetize the eggnog. So the eggnog was the first thing I saw when I followed you on social media. So, we always say, our network is our net worth. Usually when someone is doing something new and different, we see it on Facebook. Powerful tool, because we've known each other for so long.
Oh, yeah.
And I see you emerge with this eggnog, and I was like, so I am a eggnog fan, yes, no, but I thought, what I noticed about it was the packaging and the way in which you put it out there in a very serious way. So I never got the impression that your eggnog was a joke. I didn't think it was a half business. It was. I got the impression that it was a well thought out concept, right? And you went fully in to start to sell the eggnog.
Yeah,
right?
I did.
So tell me about just your move into production and how you use new media, innovative concepts, etc., to launch this eggnog business.
Well, the eggnog is not really, it's a seasonal product that I do. So I wouldn't say it's a business, but it was definitely,
but it was
a catalyst, to the lemongrass, right. It's, my goodness, I cannot even begin to tell you what my Novembers and Decembers are, with producing this eggnog. And just being the person of, I like to do things excellently. I made sure to label and package them properly. I used social media to my advantage, just put it out there, got orders as well, set up my jot forms, and, and that went on through the years, and word of mouth.
You did your kind of logistics, put all the logistics together, so your orders would go.
Orders, right. Some were delivered. You could pick up or delivery. We had services, so I had, a delivery, a courier. Someone that would a bearer that would drop the eggnogs, and word of mouth. Listen, once it got into the mouths of people, I would just get the calls. Listen, are you the eggnog lady? I'd like to order. So it just kind of gained traction through the years, and. So anytime Christmas comes around now, everybody's like, oh, we've got to get this premium eggnog.
In place.
Exactly. People start calling me from October to ask me if the eggnog is ready. I said, no, man, you're a little bit too previous, man. Because it has to be a sought out thing. And of course, in recent years, we've been having an egg shortage, right?
Yeah.
So I had to secure my eggs from a supplier from way down the line and say, listen, this is the amount of eggs. I
And
mean,
you're competing with the baking people as
right.
well. So.
I'm using over 1,000 eggs, and can you imagine? Thousands of eggs. It's crazy. And cracking those eggs and, but anyway, so that went on, and I heard the word from the person that said, you need to come up with a year-long drink. And I thought about it, and one December, I can't remember if it's time is flying now, I don't know if it's December 2022, I think it was. I like lemongrass drink, and I would buy lemongrass drink, and I just heard like the voice of God say, why don't you do a lemongrass drink without sugar, sweetened with monk fruit extract? So my food awareness has been building through the years, and my health awareness. So
what has caused you to have that kind of food awareness?
Associations, friends who are fit and healthy, associations with naturopathic experts that are my friends. So we talk, I supplement very intentionally for my own health. When I see food, if I'm going to buy bad food, I know it's bad. I just don't pick up a hamburger or some fried chicken and my conscience does not tell me, okay, you are getting saturated fats, you are getting carbohydrates, you are about to have swelling because, when you take these things in, you have a retention of water because of the inflammation. So I know the whole gamut, And so because of that, no, I was on a keto lifestyle some years ago, on and off, right? So I would supplement sugars with natural sweeteners. I did the stevia thing, and then monk fruit became my thing. And I would sweeten my coffees and teas. Well, my coffee, whenever I had it, I would have, monk fruit. I have my sparkling water with monk fruit liquid drops. And if I want something tasting like a soda, I have sparkling water like crazy in my house. So with that, I heard, try it with the monk fruit extract, monk fruit. That was very new. I know, with me and God, because it's me solely, but I'm in partnership with Jesus. It's me and him in partnership. And I started to research, monk fruit. He led me to the right supplier of monk fruit. I found favor in the eyes of these people in the United States, and they walked me through, even gave me distributorship for their products, their monk fruit products, which I haven't really developed that part of the business, but I do have it, and I do intend to at some point, add that to my...
So where did the fever grass come in with the monk fruit, with the...
Okay, so the lemongrass, as I said, I used
lemongrass,
to... Right. I think it's the same thing, right. I had a drink, sweetened with sugar and honey, and I liked it. So I decided, okay, What
are the health benefits of lemongrass?
Lemongrass, oh my goodness, there's a whole list of, there's antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, it's known to, it may lower your blood sugar and blood pressure levels, it's antimicrobial, it even has anti-cancer properties based on some 2016 study. The lemongrass also is excellent in flushing your kidneys. It's excellent on your digestive health. When I was doing my sampling for, before we came out, you have to have a set of the market that samples it. And there were 2 persons that had the lemongrass. Unbeknownst to me, they had digestive issues, and they had the lemongrass drink, and they're like, but this thing has corrected my issues. I didn't even believe it myself, even though my
even
drink,
though it was 2 people.
even though, yeah. So I said, no, man, I have to give you another set of samples, and it did the same thing. And I have proven it to be right, to be so, digestive issues, it flushes your kidneys, it's a natural diuretic. So when you have the lemongrass, be prepared to let it out,
Yeah.
which is great, because it flushes your system.
Yeah.
So I did all of that and just got the monk fruit extract, which was very new to me. The type of monk fruit that I would use would have erythritol, so you get it all packaged and stuff, and the granular form, but it would have.
For those of our viewers who don't know, what's monk fruit?
Okay, so monk fruits are discovered by the monks in the highlands of China centuries ago. They went up there to do their prayers and stuff, and they discovered this fruit. And by nature, man is curious. They saw this fruit from a tree in the highlands, like high. And they tasted it and they realized that this fruit was extremely sweet. It is said to be 300 times sweeter than sugar. But they also discovered that it had multiple health benefits. So therefore, they coined it the chai of life. They found a way to crush the fruit. And here we have it in powder form and granular form in different types of forms now.
Okay. And that is used as a sweetener for...
That is the sweetener. So my drink is sweetened with monk fruit. So there is absolutely no sugar in my drink. We just don't say it, we mean it. There is no part or nothing in this drink that has any form of sugar. It's 0 sugar, and it's only 10 calories in a bottle. And the beauty about it is that when you hydrate, it's very refreshing. Like everybody that has this drink, the first thing they say is, "Oh my goodness, this thing is so refreshing," which just warms my heart, because in my vision, that's what I wanted. I wanted that reaction, to have a refreshing drink where you can hydrate without the guilt and hydrate healthily. And we have trademarked the drink as a hydrator. Right? Hydrator. Right, as it's on there. And that was intentional, because I want to have that when persons have
especially
the drink.
in these hot summer days.
Listen to me, it's a perfect drink. It really is. Yeah.
And what about so I know that in your vision there's some social responsibility. You felt responsible for guiding the nation into a healthier beverage choices. Speak to me a little bit about that.
Right. So when the vision came, this was a perfect way to align myself with the trajectory of the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Some years ago, they tried to reduce sugars in certain drinks, and this is just my very small contribution to my country and the people that I love so much, to help to impact their lives health-wise, to give them an alternative in a drink that will actually make them healthier.
Yeah.
Yes.
And with all the added benefits of the lemongrass as well. So you're not only doing the no sugar, so no worry over the calories.
No.
And your blood sugar spiking,
No.
but you're also getting the added benefits of what lemongrass.
That's correct. It's a 10-calorie drink. It does not spike your insulin. So part of my market are diabetics and pre-diabetics. So I'm actually started the talks with the diabetic associations and to continue those talks, because I want to directly introduce it to the nephrologists there, to their diabetic patients, that, hey, finally, there is a drink on the market that actually will not spike your insulin.
Okay. Very, very well done. I mean, that's high population of non-communicable diseases in Jamaica and in the Caribbean. So I hope you have plans to extend it
Absolutely
beyond Jamaica.
Yes.
All right. So we heard a lot about, we went knee deep into the Julie's blend. I am sure that lemongrass is one of many other flavors that will come. But the concept in and of itself is novel, and it's a very healthy business idea. We're going to move to segment 3, where we're going to just look at some advice, because once women need to give other women advice in entrepreneurship. So we're going to look at advice and then have our closing thoughts. Stay tuned for segment 3. Okay, welcome to segment 3 when we talk about the real rigors of being a female entrepreneur. Maybe you thought that we went there before, but there's always more. It's tough. A lot of self-reflection has to happen at different points of business. When it's going well, when it's not going well, to see beyond the moment and to get further than where we are. I've been there. I know Julie has. I want to ask a big, blunt question. What do you wish you knew before you started Julie's Blend?
I wish I knew how labor intensive this business was, because I am head cook and bottle washer. I literally wash the bottles. Like, the whole entire process is run by me. From getting the lemongrass, I have to sanitize the lemongrass. I have to bottle, I have to label, I have to formulate.
How did you know about all these processes? This is research you had to do and to understand every single part of the process?
Well, my drink is actually standardized by the Scientific Research Council, and it's also registered by the Bureau of Standards. So we've gone through all of this to do it the right and proper way so that it can be on the shelves of the wherever, and have the surety that you're getting a drink that's safe for consumption. Okay. So there are many protocols, that you have to go through. And had I known that it was going to be so labor intensive, I would not have done the business. But it's an unfolding discovery, and sometimes it is very frustrating. I've cried, I've hurt myself in the midst of it. So when I do the drinks, I have to deliver the drinks. See me delivering the drinks in the receival sections with all of the man them round, and then this woman is coming with her trolley with her drinks on the crates and have to load up the shelves with a little assistance sometimes. It's like a man's world, to be honest. But I'm a tough girl on the inside. I'm a tough middle-aged woman.
and you see,
this girl ain't no pup.
And you see why we have to celebrate the stories of women, because all of that work, and then you go to pack a shelf.
Listen to me.
Physically intensive work.
See me out there. Yeah. It's something else.
I wanted to also ask you, having self-doubt and imposter syndrome as a part of the journey, what has it done for you? What has the self-doubt done? Okay,
self-doubt comes from rejection. I've had rejections. I must let you know that rejection will come in business. But what keeps you on the road is your why. You have to know that you have a good product, if it's a product, or you have to know that you have a good service, and you cannot be thrown off by adverse opinions and opinions that don't align itself with what it is that you're trying to achieve, right? So you're going to have rejections. In my case, not everyone is going to like your product, right? You don't ever, and that's something that I've had to learn and not take personal. If I had 1 and 2 rejections, and I'm not talking about single persons, I'm talking about places that I've approached and I've been rejected for whatever reason. And I just have to move forward and say, hey, that's not the place for me. I've had to pull my drink from certain locations because, you just realize after a while, I personally pulled the drink, that's just not the location. So it's a daily learning. You have to, because it's a new business, you have to feel out and see what's your best fit out there, where it's best suited, and that's ongoing. So when the self-doubt comes, I have to go back to my why. I have to go back to the vision that I have, that this is something that God gave me, and He is going to give me the favor, the strength, the tenacity of spirit to complete it.
Is there any particular activity or space that you get into to get grounded and focused?
Admittedly,
what happens when you need to make the shift back to center?
To center. To keep me centered, I always have to go back in the arms of Jesus, the person who gave me the vision. Because had it not been for His assurance, I would have packed up and left. I've actually doubted this at junctures and said, why have I gone here? Because it's so hard and difficult. And I have to, I listen to music, I relax at home. I don't go out much, which I need to. At this stage of business, you tend not to have such a great balance, and I need to correct that. I know my family members are probably hearing this and say, yes, Julie, you need to correct that, because I really don't get out, and I need to do things to balance, even for my mental health. So I'm working on it, guys. I'm working on it. It's a work in progress.
And I'm sure that all the female entrepreneurs who are watching and business leaders can identify with that. You get so deep into it that you even almost feel like you don't deserve to have the time, because there's so much to be done that you don't have the time to do anything else. But, thankfully, I think we know that it happens for a particular phase in business. It's not forever. So I have told people that business has also given me an opportunity to look at my own mortality, who I am, how long am I going to be here, what am I going to leave for my son to remember me by, what are people going to say about me after. And because we spend so much time in our business and developing our ideas, it must be a part of how we're going to be remembered. And that is our legacy. That's what we did here. And that's why I do a podcast like this, because we want to hear the stories, the things that people don't talk about, right? And I want to know what you would want your legacy to be. What does your work, what do you want it to leave behind for you?
I want people to realize or see the impact that I've had on their lives. That's my deepest desire, to impact somebody's life. And the drink, in this case, I want to impact somebody's life through the consumption of this drink. This is just another area of me extending my love to a consumer. It says on it, it's made with lots of love. I am a true lover of people, and this is my contribution to their health. I want persons to remember me when that day comes, that Julie was an extension of God's love into my life, whether it be through an encouraging word, whether it's through ministry, whether it's through the drink that I have, that it must have a positive impact on people's lives. And that's a legacy I want to leave.
And that's how you want people to remember
I want them to remember me as the girl that impacted their lives one way or the other.
All right. And next 3 years, where is Julie's blend going?
Adding some more
flavors,
refreshers, yes.
Nice.
Flavors, yeah.
And keeping the eggnog for...
Yes, man. Come Christmas, the eggnog will be ready. Yes.
And we'll be able to get them in multiple locations all over.
Well, the eggnog is actually not on the shelf.
Oh,
it's off the shelf. This is a direct transaction. You have to deliver it and pick up, right?
Yeah. Okay, because of the shelf life. Yeah?
The shelf life, right. And even though there are people that order during the year, but it's still, they either pick up or we give them a delivery service.
Okay, so I am about to have my drink, but I don't only want to have the drink. I would like you to taste the first refresher, the lemongrass. I hydrate from Julie's Blend. So I'm gonna have her tell you where you can find her, and how you can access the product, so that you too can have the guilt-free, sugar-free experience of a refreshing drink.
So right now we're located in several supermarkets. You can find us at La Chuson Barbican, La Chuson John R. Wong, Lee's Food Fair, General Food, S Food, Super Value, Fresh Foods, Camilla's Kitchen, Lemongrass Tea Room at Devon House, Pickle and Chill, that's our newest location, and there's some that I'm missing out, but you can get all the information that you need. Our social media handle is Julie's Blend, one word, Julie's Blend, and there you will have all the information that you need. You will get all the education on the monk fruit, just in case for those who are not familiar, you can familiarize yourself. There is stuff on there, content that will do just that for you. Yes.
There you have it, guys. Thank you for joining the very, very, very first staging of the Ideation to Innovation podcast. It was my absolute pleasure to have Julie Ann Keane of Julie's Blend to give her story that she took from just a small idea to an innovative product that is now taking Jamaica by storm. And in true woman-to-woman spirit, I want to wish you, Julie, prosperity beyond anything you can imagine. And I would like for the people who consume your products to continue to see the value and for it to nourish their bodies and minds. Until next time, thank you so much for joining. I am Sarah Wilson, your host.